And welcome to In-Game Chat for Saturday, May 10th, 2014. This is Season 8, Episode 19. I'm Scott.
I'm James.
I'm Dennis.
I'm RJ.
And I'm Nathan.
And welcome to the show. If you'd like to get in touch with us, our phone number, where you can talk to Nathan or us, is 334-272-9228. That is 334-272-9228. Encourage you to call. We'd love to hear from you. We often say that this is a talk radio show about video games. A call with a live call-in aspect of it, and we'd love to hear from you and make that happen. 334-272-9228. You can check out InGameChat.net for all the links to get in touch with us. You can find us on Twitter at In-Game Chat. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us through email, everyone at InGameChat.net. We are on Twitch right now with the cam. Head over to twitch.tv and look for In-Game Chat. You can find us there. And join us in the chat room live while we broadcast. Looking over the chat room, we've got Lavos in there as always. He just kind of keeps that place, keeps the light on for us. Medusa Mira in there, Multile, and W. Matthew hanging out in the chat room. So hello everybody in there, and welcome to the show. Got a full house in here tonight, and want to give a quick mention to a local place. We talked about them a little bit last week, and wanted to mention them again. It's Retro Game Planet. They are located in Prattville, just about 20 minutes from where we're broadcasting from right now, and it's their grand opening this weekend. They're doing a Mario Kart tournament right now, actually. It started at 5. I'm sure it is still going, but they're doing a tournament over there. Here's the number if you want to call them, 334-491-4263. That is 334-491-4263. They're open today until 7, but given that it's the grand opening and they're doing some tournaments, they might be open a little bit later than that. They're located at 1730 Cobbs Ford Road in Prattville. So just head on over there. Just go to if you know where the bowling alley in Prattville is, just go there in that little shopping area center over there is where they are located. So head on over there. We've got flyers in their shop, which is cool. It's the first time we've had anything that's kind of like promoting us outside of the internet. But yeah, they for the grand opening, we've got flyers in there, and so. But they're doing that tournament. You can win a 3DS. Is that correct? A brand new 3DS still in the box, I believe.
Yes, I believe that's the prize for the tournament today.
For the Mario Kart. I did not get the details if they're doing just racing or if they're doing balloon battle. And they may do some combination of both, how they were going to do that. But the tournament is going. It was a free entry tournament for this, so free food, all sorts of stuff. Not to mention the massive amount of products that they have in the store. Dennis is gone. Yeah. James has been over there twice now. RJ and Nathan haven't made it over there yet, but good selection of stuff that they've got in there.
Yeah, good stuff. One in particular that struck me was Final Fantasy VI Advance. Back in that little hutch they had, where all the really valuable stuff is sealed away.
The I'm not even entirely sure this is for sale hutch.
Yeah,
where they had the boxed, sealed copy of Soul Blazer.
Yeah.
For the Super Nintendo,
but no price tag on it.
I didn't see one.
Yeah,
6 Advance had an $80 price tag. I'm not sure if that's actually for sale though.
Right.
It's the only one of the Final Fantasies on the Advance I did not pick up. And so it hurts me not to have.
Right. I went there. I browsed through as much as I could. I was actually very surprised. The more I looked, the more I realized that he had lots of different little things tucked away in all of the little nooks and crannies in the shop. And he had, obviously some of the rarer, higher value items behind glass, and then just sort of commodity things out in the open. But when I was dropping off our flyers and I went to talk to the guys up there a little more yesterday, I had a copy of I bought a copy of ODST.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Which I never owned. It was a rental, but it's
you were eyeballing it when we went up
right,
there Tuesday.
It was my favorite Halo, but he had a copy that was in great condition for like $6.
What's that other game you were eyeballing?
I was eyeballing a lot, as a matter of fact.
Crackdown, I think it was.
There was some stuff on the 360.
Yeah, it was 360 stuff, and I can't remember.
But obviously, that's not where the real interest is, though. I've got a running list in my head.
Because it's hard to consider 360 retro right now. It's a long way from that.
Right.
It's previous gen, right?
It's
stuff that some of the stuff that's on a disc, but most of it's not.
Yeah,
it's
but
on cartridge.
It's on its way. Yeah, and I think it'll get there faster than any of us believe.
Mm-hmm.
But But I picked that up. I was rifling through the stuff on the PS2 shelf. I had a copy of Draken, the Ancient Skates, for PS2. The original Draken was PC only. Really, really awesome third-person action RPG thing where you play a girl rides a dragon, whatever. And the sequel was only on the PS2, and it was fantastic. Really old, like really early PS2 game. I think something like 2002, maybe when that came out. Semi-quasi open world type of game where you could run around on foot, and you would do a lot of dungeons and things like that. But you could just sort of call your dragon to you at just about any point in time, and he'd be like land, and you climb up on him, and then go fly around and do like dragon stuff.
Yeah.
Super fantastic. So I picked up that, and I picked up a copy of Chrono Trigger on the DS, which was excellent. Really, really good price on that. And I have said recently that that's one of those things that's very near the top of my list because I know what a high-quality game it is. I never played it because Super Nintendo games were incredibly expensive.
Well, in particular, this one was incredibly
Well, it was like
expensive.
$75 or something like that.
Yeah, most of them ran between 50 and 60.
50 and 60, which was...
But this was a premium item.
Yeah. They were expensive because I was in junior high and high school.
Well, that too, but even compared to the other...
Even compared to some of the other games, that one in particular was extra pricey. And it came out near the end of that generation and all these other things. So I borrowed a friend's copy, played a little bit of it, but, had to give it back. And I just never made time. So I decided to make some time. I was really, really happy to see that in the case. And then there was other stuff as well. The PS1 case is really, really good. Really, really nice stuff in there. It is very much... If you have any history with video games at all, anything that goes further into the past than, say, 5-10 years, this shop is very much a Needful Things.
That's good. That's a good way to put it.
No, it really is. It really is, because I'm rifling through stuff, and I'm like, yeah, some cute old stuff. So you have a copy of Grandstream Saga, and that is a B-team RPG from the early days of the PS1. They're like nobody cared enough about to save, but it's one of my favorites. I'm not saying it's one of the best. I'm saying it's one of my favorites. And he has a copy in there, and I'm not going to buy that right now. but that spoke to me. That sealed copy of Soul Blazer in the back.
It hurts
spoke
you
to me.
Not to have
Because it's, Soul Blazer, again, something that wasn't necessarily fully top-tier RPG, but just really defined a certain emotion from a certain time for me.
Yeah.
And tons of other stuff. Selection is fantastic and runs the gamut all the way back to 32X stuff.
Well, it runs the gamut
System
back to
stuff.
Master System, and Intellivision even. When I saw the Intellivision boxes, I was, wow.
And they don't just have retro stuff. They actually, one thing, I think it's the Revision 3, I think is what it's called.
The Retron.
Retron.
Yes.
The Retron 3,
Yes.
which is a $75. They're selling it for $75. It's a $75 system that has, it plays NES, SNES, and Genesis.
Yeah.
Right. Slotted for all three.
You just
Easy,
turn the
quick
dial
selection.
whichever one you want.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just about to ask you how big their Sega collection is. Sega CD, Dreamcast, things of that nature.
They've got
Did
the consoles.
No, there was a little bit of Dreamcast stuff, but most of it was loose.
Yeah.
Not in
Yeah,
case.
not anything in cases.
He's got a nice selection of stuff, that's like things are in boxes, things that are very rare, and then he's got,
a lot of Genesis carts.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, worth checking out then.
Absolutely worth
Yeah,
checking
Yes.
out.
Worth checking out.
They have a Dreamcast. Not a lot of Dreamcast games that I remember
Right.
seeing.
No, not an awful lot.
Um,
But they're, unfortunately, where Sega System games are concerned, they never really had that many in absolute numbers. In America, whether it was Saturn or Dreamcast, anything from the disc era, they just never quite filled the shelves the way that a lot of those companies did. So their stuff a lot of their games went straight into collectible territory before they were even old. Exactly, because they were never really that easy to obtain in the first place.
yeah.
Panzer Dragoon Saga comes to mind right now when you say
Well,
Resident Evil Director's
funny
Cut.
you should mention that one.
They had that one up there, didn't they?
For the Xbox, yes.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't Saga.
No. They had what is the one for the Xbox? Not Saga. It's Orta.
Yeah.
Yeah, Order.
Panzer Dragoon
Yeah.
Orta. They may have it. I don't know. Entirely worth going up there, and the guys are Johnny on the spot with their inventory. They'll know. if they've got it, and have an awful lot of
I
good
don't know
stuff.
if they do, it might be in the back section, like you said, because the last time I checked, it was on eBay for like $200 or something.
Was it?
Yeah, the last time I saw it though, that was
His
years
what was
ago,
his
though.
highest price? Was it the $250 Tron Bon?
It's $230 for Tron Bon, but that
Okay.
may be one of the highest things.
Yeah, that was the highest that I remember seeing.
It's the highest I saw. Yeah.
And they got 2 big screen TVs set up in the back with little lounge areas. One's got a PS4 hooked up to it, of all things, but and the other one has a bunch of the older consoles hooked up to it, so you can play any of these before you buy them. They do buy, they sell, and they trade as well. So make sure you head on over there and check it out if you guys are local and listening to us, and we appreciate it if you are local and listening to us. And don't forget to call us, 334-272-9228. Talking about Retro Game Planet and retro stuff. Not that Nintendo is retro, but
Yeah,
They
they're-
define an awful lot of
They
the
do.
retro experience.
can't
that
walk
makes
in
the
there, yeah.
Well, that makes the current news.
they have an entire wall in that store, nothing but the Nintendo
Yeah.
Power posters.
and they're the longest lasting out of the big three. So
They
far.
are. They are.
But-
They were the first ones back after the crash. And that's what makes the current news and the news of the last several years so very, very hard to weather, is that it looks like they may be the first one
They mean the next one's out.
to run into the ground
It
after all this.
it looks a lot like kind of like how Sega was kind of looking after the Dreamcast wasn't doing so well.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's
Yeah, it's-
they missed their totals on their fiscal year.
Well, they did. Yeah, it's the end of the fiscal year for all of the big companies, and so everybody has to, come out into the light of day
Talk to
and
the stockbroker.
yeah,
and all
show
that.
everybody what it is they're packing, and be like, all right, here's exactly what happened. And it was last year, Nintendo already not looking particularly good with their current crop of hardware, with the 3DS and with the Wii U. Just not, neither one of them really responding in the ways that they should. I mean, the 3DS barely moved at all, at least in the U.S. when it first came out, and then they dropped the price significantly, but that only moved some. I mean, it picked up, but it didn't. They were accustomed to their hardware printing money.
Which it did up until now.
Sure. They
I mean,
weren't
it's-
delusional.
Yeah.
They were just accustomed to something that stopped pretty abruptly with the Wii. I mean, demand for the Wii just disappeared when it didn't drop off. It didn't taper off. It just vanished, and they were in a bad way because they were in the habit of just producing a jillion consoles and shipping them to retailer warehouses
to meet that demand that
and
suddenly stopped.
The demand just dried up. One breath it was there, the next it was gone, and it caused a lot of trouble for them. And the Wii U just hasn't performed properly at all for a host of different reasons.
Right.
But they had initially said,
Initially, by the end of this fiscal year, they had estimated 9 million Wii U's sold.
right,
Then back in January,
the total number of
total,
okay.
I believe 9 million total.
Or were they like shooting for the moon and
No,
saying
I-
9 million
no.
this year?
No, I think it was 9 million for this year.
That's
But back in
insane.
January, they came out and said, we're very much off on that number. We're
Right.
definitely not going to make that.
and they said that they admitted they were off on the 3DS number as well.
Yes, they did. It was
They had something like 18 or 19 million 3DSs that they wanted to push.
18 million 3DSs, and then they lowered it down to 13.5 million. For
Right.
the Wii U, originally 9 million,
And they lowered that
down
down
to
to
2.8 million.
for
And-
the year.
For the year. And they've only
And they
sold-
missed on both.
Yeah, on the Wii U, they only sold 2.72 million. So
Right. And
All
then
5 million.
they only fell barely short. Let's be clear about that, right? They lowered their projections. They missed their projection. That's embarrassment. That's not very, very good at
Yeah.
all. But the point is that a year ago they fully believed that they could push a certain number of units of each of those things.
Yeah,
And
they believe they could-
software
they believe they could push 4 times
Right.
what they did.
software being incredibly dependent on how much hardware is out in the wild, that's just bad news for everybody. Nintendo's super rich. Yeah, they have sold millions of units, but at this point, the Wii U's barely ahead of the Xbox One. It's
Just
already
barely.
been surpassed in the first 6 months by the PS4.
Yeah, PS4 has done well against that. I think Xbox One is 5 million worldwide
No,
altogether, not for
no,
the year.
It is 5 million shipped.
5 million shipped.
If you look at the way
Ah,
Microsoft
yeah.
has reported its numbers, they have been very, very shady. The last confirmations I'm aware of how many they sold was just at or above 3 million as of the end of the year.
Yeah.
So obviously that's not entirely correct, but it was only 5 million shipped. I remember there was that little tidbit story about the possibility that they were going to ramp down production of Xbox Ones because they had so many in the retail channel that there was no sense to keep on making them based on, how many they were selling at the moment.
But a lot of the times when they do these numbers, it's here's how many we've shipped. They give the larger of the two, I suppose, and then the word behind it being shipped rather than sold.
Right, and Sony is a little more clear. Sony's like, no, 7 million, and they're mostly gone.
Yeah.
They're completely sold. And granted, this is more worldwide. Sony and Nintendo both are more global in their attempt.
Xbox One had the staggered release.
It did have the staggered release, and they're not in as many countries, and they are primarily focusing on the U.S. market, so... Whatever, it's all a bunch of business, it's all a bunch of hokum and numbers, and Nintendo's not about to disappear. They have an enormous amount of money in the bank, but it's worth noting that it's not, that's not money that's flowing through the arteries and veins of the company, and it's not money that's necessarily going to making Nintendo what Nintendo currently is when you think of what it currently is. It's the Wii U, it's the 3DS. They have terrible relationships with third parties, at least where the Wii U is concerned at the moment. It's based around a gimmick that you can either take or leave. Some people like it. A lot of people don't, frankly.
It's a whole bunch of extra work for somebody who's trying to get out on as many platforms.
Because you can't have platform parity. You know, you can't just say, I'm going to get a Wii U because they have things I must own. Nintendo properties. I imagine that 30 years from now, I will still want a Mario and a Zelda and a Kirby and all of these different things, but it would be nice if I could have all of the other stuff as well. So, but they are in a bad way. They've got the money. They're not necessarily. It's going to buoy them a little bit, but it doesn't matter, man. When you're not actually performing and generating money for stockholders and all this other crazy business stuff. We're not a business podcast, clearly, but it's worth pointing out that all of the news about Nintendo just isn't very optimistic, and it's upsetting for someone whose greatest gaming moments of his life have been defined by Nintendo systems. It was formative for me, and I would really like, I would really like to have that back. I would really like to walk into a retro game store 25 years from now and see things from a current era that I thought were so great.
Yeah, I just wish Wii U just doesn't have anything on it that really calls to me. I have one game for it. One game. Zombie U, which was Ubisoft's launch title, which is really good, but you couldn't put it on another system because it makes extensive use of that dual screen. So
it's a Wii U game.
Yeah, it's purely a Wii U game, and it will always be a Wii U game unless, I don't know, they do something really interesting with the NVIDIA Shield as far as double screens go.
For me, it was Bayonetta 2, but I said back when it was released, I like the game, I want to play it, but it's not worth buying one system for one game.
Yeah.
So I wanted to wait to see what the roster would look like, but it never panned out.
Yeah, there's just nothing on there. It's just kind of barren and empty. And the third party stuff,
Scott doesn't even own one.
Yeah, what's up with that?
How bad does your game system have to be when Scott won't own it?
And it's a big
deal. He
deal.
owns 2 Xbox Ones.
Yeah.
And he doesn't own a Wii U.
I have 2 PS4s, 2 Xbox Ones.
You probably got like a mausoleum in the backyard of all your old systems lined up there.
You know what? I don't, which is why I get so... I've got my SNES. I've still got my SNES. It's got a nice yellow tint to it. I've got my NES. I have a Dreamcast. And I have all the older generation games, the GameCube, Xbox, PS2. I never owned a PlayStation. I never owned an N64. I owned a Genesis, but then sold it. So seeing that's the draw to the store that we talk about, Retro Game Planet. That's my draw. It's like I could get these consoles and finish my collection and then make a nice little display of like, here's all these, you know.
Do you like, I think it was on Reddit, I saw this guy who like hooked up all his systems into a whole bunch of different power inverters.
I don't know if I'd do a hookup on them, but it's still, I can guarantee you I wouldn't buy them without playing them.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, it was an unopened, never opened box of one of these consoles that I would probably keep it that way. But yeah, that interests me. But no, I never had a desire to own the. Lately, I've started to kind of look at them because the prices keep getting lower, or used ones keep getting lower, and I'm like, And then I think, what am I going to play on it? And that's when it stops. That's when I stop myself from wanting to buy one of these things.
Oh, yeah, because we have more than enough to play on the current system.
Part of me wants to buy one because it's like, oh, it's a Wii U, and then it's got a nice little Mario game or something. But then it's just like that's about it, and then I stop. I stop myself from going that way. And I mean, I don't even play my 3DS. I barely play my 3D or my DSi. I still own it, but I haven't touched it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah,
No.
it's hard to get into when it's like, oh, there's just that one.
And I'm not going to be buying that $500 system either. So, which is not a product of Nintendo's not involved with that, are they? Or
no, they are not.
Yeah,
it's which we should clarify that it is the is a $500 system, which is
What's it called?
Give me a minute, but it is going to run it at 1080p. It's called the
Analog NT.
Yeah. The Analog NT, and this is I don't know. This is like some.
This is absurd.
I don't know. I wouldn't say absurd. It's more like. God, I'm trying to think of the perfect analogy for it, but this is. I don't know. It's like a really expensive kit car or something.
It's like the kind of thing you expect to go like into like a room full of like. Mint models put on the wall and everything, and there it is hooked up to that TV. There's like this is the experience right here.
Right.
It's
about playing NES carts. It's not about emulating them. It's not about having anything. It is about elevating the original Nintendo cartridge game to its apparent ultimate experience, with perfect sound output, high definition video output, lots of dollar input.
Yeah,
because it's going to be $500.
Yeah, and everything else that you need to buy with it is
and
also
not counting the HDMI converter upscaler,
converter, which is another $50 if you
50
pre-order.
If you pre-order it,
we
that's
don't
right.
know what a post-pre-order
This
world
is
looks
very
like.
very expensive nostalgia filtered through the sensibilities of like modern.
Mm-hmm.
The modern need for high definition video. They see you say that you wouldn't buy it, but what would happen? What would happen if you had one demoed for you?
Well,
what would happen playing classic NES games?
What would happen if I got 4 controllers for it and hooked up Gauntlet 2 and we all played it together?
Yeah, $500.
Yeah, $500.
It would happen somewhere.
kind of starts and ends right there for me. $500 for what it does, which is like, but I can.
It's got more games than the Xbox One, and they'll run at 1080p. Right?
Very
and
true.
it doesn't come with Kinect.
Yeah, that's a nice bonus.
We should say you finally got your hands on an Xbox One,
right?
And put some time into it.
Not much.
I know, because you haven't had much to play on it, other than Titanfall. I think didn't you get Did Titanfall finally show up?
Yeah.
You have now played Titanfall on all three available platforms that it was available for.
Right.
PC, 360, and now the Xbox One. So yeah, I was just kind of, getting a little bit of an impression of what you thought of the system.
So which one is the best version?
The PC.
Oh.
Well, technically the PC is the best version, but it was the first version to drop off of a cliff. It is essentially... I don't know if you've kept up with some of the discussions about it now that it's, like 6 weeks, 2 months old. Mm-hmm. But as often happens with certain types of games that are clearly designed for an audience or a play style that's best handled in like a console generally, the matchmaking is apparently universally bad. Once you start playing with people that are very high ranked and whose skill rank is awfully high, you start to notice, when you get a mix of high skill and low skill, high rank and low rank players, that the matchmaking system has a very, very hard time dealing with that. It is apparently not good at all. And
I've heard folks say that they group all the high levels on one side and everybody else.
Yeah.
They keep it separately, like a group of level 50s all on
well,
one
you'll
team.
find a group of high skill level players on one team and a group of just
people who just started. Like on
first
the other
day
side.
scrubs on the other side. And this is not what's supposed to be happening.
Right.
I know that there's a lot of ways of favoring a team versus favoring random individuals who joined without friends or outside of a team, or a party. But it's neither here nor there. If that's the actual reality, if I, and this has happened pretty much every time I've jumped in on either of the console versions, that I mean, whatever. I don't really care too much for Titanfall, but I really wanted to give it at least a look-see on all of the different platforms to see what, I feel. And I think I like it better on the consoles, and I think that if you're gonna buy it and play it, then the console is absolutely the best place to do it. It looks better, plays better on the PC, but the PC matchmaking, the number of players available, all of this stuff just seems to have gone just right out. It's just done with, and people don't generally seem to be as interested anymore. And they are, my guess would be, less tolerant of the failures on the PC side, because there are endless millions of things to do on the PC.
Yeah.
You're an Xbox One owner right now, Titanfall, Battlefield, or Call of Duty is going to be your shooter, and those are all three very, very different styles of games. People usually adhere to one style over another just because of what it offers them. You're not gonna get any Battlefield from your Titanfall. And you're not going to get any Titanfall from your Call of Duty.
Right.
They are significantly different, and they attract different audiences. So that's going to be your best bet. It's going to be the best place to be. But I just don't think it had the lasting appeal a lot of people hoped it would. For some people, clearly it does. But
And you don't have cable to hook it up to, so you can't use the TV function. But have you used some of the voice activation stuff?
I have. It's superior to the PS4 in terms of that, which isn't. That's a low bar to clear. And I do like it a little bit better. I wish that just for basic interaction type stuff, I like the voice activation on the PS4. I like it plenty on the Xbox as well. I just don't want to use it in everything.
Right.
I don't want those things embedded everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's fine. I got nothing against it. It's fine. It's a perfectly fine and lovely system. But I don't think in general the experience quite matches that of the PS4. I think the PS4, I rather like the PS4. They need to get on the ball fixing some of the things about their UI. I need to be able to control sort of what shows up on your little apps list there. Every time I get another free thing on PS Plus, or every time I download another thing, it's just one more thing tagged on the end of that line. And that line is getting awfully long now. Got like 25 things on it.
Is it kind of like the cross media bar on 3?
It's less.
No, but begin with
that idea.
Yeah. You know how the drop down on the, cross media bar has a certain select number that goes from left to right.
Yeah.
But
Because they're all categories.
Yeah. But when you land on one of those, the vertical line is endless, depending on how much stuff you've got.
Yeah.
Well, take that vertical line and make that your left and right. For everything.
Yeah. For every now you can still drop into categories, but the home icon for those categories is mixed in with all of your game. Like, for example, all of your television and movie apps, like Hulu and Crackle and Amazon and Netflix, are all under a single category for like TV. But that TV category icon is right next to Infamous, is right next to Assassin's Creed, is right next to
all the games you've installed or downloaded.
Everything that you have installed.
That's my main complaint. That's my only complaint about the cross media bar is I can't sort my stuff by like what's my most recently downloaded here.
And now you can
have a slightly
now you
worse
cannot even
experience.
ignore an unsortable list that is going to become untenable very, very quickly. For people that have,
I was really hoping they would fix it.
yeah,
on
they are.
PS4.
Here's the thing: they are going to have to fix it because it is going to be unmanageable by the end of this year. It's already borderline unmanageable for people who have exhausted most of the content on a PS4. If you have bought most of your things digitally, if you have bought a lot of things for your system, you've already got probably 35, 45 things in that list. It's already something you don't want to deal with. So, yeah, I have compared the two. I still, in general, prefer the PS4, but I can't really say too many terrible things about the one. It's fine. it's too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think is going to have as good a year overall as the PS4 is. And I have a strong belief that Microsoft's genuine first-party projects and their ability to purchase first-party distribution or exclusive third-party distribution aren't going to add up enough to make it a better system. It is demonstrably weaker, 20% more expensive. Whatever. I don't like it as much.
Yeah.
It is just not as comfortable and friendly and fun for me. I really, really enjoy my PS4 more. So,
Yeah. Well, we got to take a break, and when we come back, we'll have more of in-game chat, and we'd love to hear from you. 334-272-9228 is the number you need to call. 334-272-9228. Phone lines are open. We'll be back with more in-game chat in just a moment. Here is music from Metal Gear Solid. And welcome back to In-Game Chat. Don't forget to call us, 334-272-9228, 334-272-9228. If you want to just bring up a topic if you'd like, or if you want to, you got input on anything else that we may be talking about, and you've got something to say, disagree, agree, doesn't matter, give us a call, let us know. Well, this week, was it Epic? Kind of said, hey, Unreal Tournament, we're going to make that free. Not free to play, which is what has been echoed a lot. Not free to play, but free, so long as you build it. You build it, and it's free, if that's my understanding.
No.
And then I was wrong.
They are making another Unreal Tournament.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They are making another Unreal Tournament. What they are doing is they are going to crowdsource to some extent a lot of the development of the game. As long as you are a subscriber to
Unreal Engine
the Unreal
4.
Engine 4.
Right.
You remember that they changed the licensing and pay model for the Unreal Engine, right?
Yeah.
They went from saying you pay us an enormous amount of money and then you get all of the assets and everything you possibly want to they took a real Adobe approach, right? Which is instead of buying a $700 piece of software, you can subscribe annually for $20, $30, $40, $50 a month and get their premium software without having to shell out enormous amounts of money to own a single version.
Yeah.
Very, very smart. So they've done that as well. Everybody who is a participant in that subscription model and subscribes to the Unreal Engine 4 is going to be able to submit things and participate in this kind of crowd funding notion of game design. That's a little creepy and not totally awesome, because I've seen what large groups of people do when they get together on the internet. Having said that, obviously, Epic is going to be, guiding and conducting the development of the game. That's all perfectly fine. The most important thing, though, is that you're right. It is not going to be free to play. It is going to be a free game.
Right.
They're going to monetize it by having a channel through which people can... It's going to be mod support.
Yeah, have its own internal marketplace, essentially.
Yes, that's exactly it, where you can either give away mods for free, or you can choose to sell your mods to the game. So the base game should... I would expect it to be a fairly loose structure. Probably still somewhat supported by the free-to-play model. A limited number of modes, a limited number of maps, maybe. My guess would be that that's actually one of the things going to probably be sold a lot. Because historically, in those types of shooters, maps were the greatest piece of content that you can add. This is long before unlocks and classes and different class loadouts and different map layouts based on the game type. Everything was much more consistently and directly designed around the simple notion of the map and shooting people inside of it. The greatest thing you could add to the game was another map.
Right.
So that is how they intend to fund the game. What's most important here is not whether we expect this to actually result in a really, really high quality game. I do. But it looks like they're keeping it dialed in on a classic arena shooter style FPS. It's very important because those they're not extinct, but
They're few and far between.
They're few and far between, and they're the only thing that has ever been even remotely balanced. The only thing where real competition, real skill gaps, real map knowledge, real reflexes, intuition, and an innate understanding of the other people you're playing against have most perfectly come to bear on the multiplayer experience. The stuff we have nowadays, in general, is, yes, it's fine. It's quite fun. But it lacks a lot of the fundamentals that got a lot of us interested in playing online or against other people in the first place. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking that this core design looks like it's probably going to keep us in the world of just balanced arena shooter. I'm hoping.
Yeah, well, it's hard to say right now because
it's totally hard to say. So I'm just making it up. I'm actually just deciding that's what's going to happen.
These are your expectations
because it's right, and they need to be managed. I understand.
They're totally not going to be managed.
They're not going to be managed. And maybe it'll, as long as there is something in the game, as long as this thing, whenever it shows up, actually contains some undiluted core element of the types of multiplayer experiences I always enjoyed. Then they will totally get my money. Some of my money. I will buy something. I will buy maps or something. I have no idea how it's going to work. But it's exciting for being different, if for no other reason. I don't know. You never played UT, did you?
I think I played like one round. See, here it is. Xbox, it was November of 05, I think.
Something like that.
04, 05.
Forever ago, as far as we're concerned.
2004, 2005. When...
You're from the...
Wow.
Yeah, 2004, 2005. When Xbox Live went live, when that was initiated on the Xbox console. Weird story, side story. When I was in his shop, when I was in the Retro Game Planet, I was looking at an original Xbox console, and I said, "Oh, that's an Xbox One." He's like, "No, it looks like one." I was like, "No, it's original." You had that naming thing. So, anyway, when Xbox Live first began, I think Unreal Tournament 2004 was released. And I was getting anything that had the live thing on it because I was like, yay, over the internet playing with other people, I'm going to do it. Football, it's games that I don't ever play. Football and Mech Game and Mech Assault, I think is what it was. And Unreal.
They had a copy of that up there at the shop, by the way.
Yeah, they did. And I played, it was so fast. I did not know what was going on. It was I was like, because my only experience of a first-person shooter at that time was Halo 2, maybe. I think it was Halo 2.
Oh, yeah.
Halo 1,
By
Halo 2, something like that. I got into Unreal and it was a blur. It was so, and I was like, oh God, I just wasted my money. Because I couldn't keep up with it. So I played maybe a round or two of that and never got back into it because it was too fast for me.
It's interesting, and I really don't mean to drag it out, from the back room again and beat it more, but people really, really have talked an awful lot about Titanfall and its innate speed and like how just energizing that is. And I mean, I played it and I was like, yeah, this, the speed generally feels good. But I remember, I never really subscribed. I was going to say 10 years ago, 15 years ago, to you were required to either be a Quake 3 guy or an Unreal Tournament guy.
Right.
I wasn't really either one. I had like people in both camps. I was like, well, I'm an independent, let's straddle the line and play both. Unreal Tournament obviously went on to be more of a franchise, and Quake obviously became the perfect version of that kind of fast gameplay. But we had all played Quake 1 together and Quake 2 together in multiplayer. Mm-hmm. Unreal Tournament was certainly interesting because of the changes and things that it offered. But I remember I was doing some online competitive gaming at the time, and I remember that I would just get in those games and just fight against the AI, and I would tune the AI up a little higher and a little higher and a little higher and a little higher until I just couldn't stand it, until the pain was too much, until they were just ridiculously overpowered. And I haven't seen anything since that era that matched that speed and that need. I understand why they're not popular. You play, and you're going to be very honest about this. I know that you don't necessarily hold favorites, but there are a lot of people who still think of Halo as a perfect multiplayer experience because that's where a lot of people came into it, multiplayer shooter experience. But
that's where I came into it.
But your experience and mine was exactly opposite. I came into it and played like other people's Halo 1 and Halo 2 multiplayer, and it felt like I was moving in slow motion compared to everything I had been doing for years. To me, arena shooters, competitive shooters, are about speed and accuracy and map knowledge. That's what they are. There's still people playing at that level today. They're playing Quake 3 because nothing has matched it. And it's been an absurdly long time since anyone has tried. I understand that it feels good to feel good in an online game. And it's a lot easier to feel good in games now that are built the way they are. And you can't necessarily jump right back into that kind of multiplayer at this point, never having done it before, and just get any kind of feedback. You're just going to be completely useless forever as you try to live long enough to figure out how to play the game. So, and, if they're tracking your KD ratio, it's better to just not even play the game than to look like a chump. And none of that was true back then. It didn't matter. It was all in the game. That's all that mattered. Mm-hmm. You just got in the game and you played. And when the next map rolled around, the old map and all the experience was all gone. It was a very Zen-like experience. You worked as hard as you could to get to the top of the kill list, and that's great. And then for that moment, you are...
You are the hero.
You're either a hero or you're a chump, or it doesn't matter, and that's fine.
And then next
the
round
map rolls around,
5.
the loading screen finishes, and everybody's the same again. The garden is raked back to a nice, even shape, and you get to start over. None of that is true.
How did they release maps then?
A lot of times maps were released in proper expansion packs.
Okay.
Retail boxed expansions, but mostly they were made by people. Mm-hmm. They were made by guys who played the game. 99% of all maps of all first-person shooters came from humans who made them, people who loved the game, the base mechanics, everything the game had to offer, and they would sit out there, and there were factories. I mean, Nathan's had a lot to say about this, in terms of Call of Duty. We had a long conversation about this.
Yeah.
There were people who were essentially just churning out maps because that was the mark they wanted to leave on the world. And that was where all the advancement took place. The people who made the game didn't really support that stuff very much. They were just like, here, play.
No, usually maps will be uploaded on the server. If you didn't have it, it downloaded.
Right, or you could go to their forums or something and like download it all in a pack or something like that. It was all. It was just better.
And it's free.
I don't care that it was harder for some people. I don't care that the current state of affairs means greater sales, greater stability for the people making the game, and a more generally pleasing feedback loop for the players. That's fine. They can exist. It's not a zero-sum game in this term, but I'm sorry, it was better the way it was. They were just better, and now they've gone nearly extinct, and that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, with the whole map pack, like you were saying with Call of Duty, and when I used to play Battlefield 2, or Betafield 2, because that game always had issues as well. And there was a point where that game, it was out for like 2 years, and they decided to come out with the expansion pack, which was Special Forces. And you had to go buy that separate. It was like $30 or something like that. And at least with that, you got, I think, 6 or 7 new maps, and then you also got a whole new set of guns, tools you got to use for climbing walls and stuff. So that was $30. You got maps and pretty much a whole new game as well. So that was right at that edge where you got a whole bunch of value for the expansion pack, I guess, or the DLC if you want, because you could download it at certain places. And then after that, that's when it kind of started hitting that wall where it was, you get 4 maps for $15, $20.
Right. Which is one of the worst things in the world.
Splits the base.
It splits the player base. It's one of the absolute worst things you can possibly do. It's one of the fastest ways to hasten the death of your game. Not that anybody cares. If they get their map pack money, if they get their box sale money, and then a year to 2 years later they're just selling you another copy of the game, it doesn't matter that it was good for the game or bad for the game. Nobody cultivates anymore. Nobody cares to... I shouldn't say nobody. We all know that I'm exaggerating there, but... the idea that you're going to take a game and grow something out of it and cultivate it and make sure that it is the best possible experience it can be, that philosophy is not very much a part of competitive shooter design anymore. And it's a shame. It is an absolute shame. And whatever. This is actually getting to be history at this point.
Well, while we're on the topic of shooters, we talked about Destiny last week, and then we finally found out that July is when they're going to do their beta.
Yes.
Is it just PlayStation 4, or is it...
PlayStation consoles, yes. Okay. That is when they're doing their beta. If you've pre-ordered the game, you get a code to get into the beta. And I'm not sure. I think that's I think the only way to get into it,
as far as I understand, outside of some of the very special invite.
Yeah, that's right. Which I don't know. We've got beta codes, but I think those are for PC. Maybe I'm not exactly sure.
No, when you get the beta code, you just enter it on the website, and then they said that at a further date, once they actually release, you can select whatever console you want.
Okay.
All right.
Well, can't select PC.
Yeah.
Just want to put that out there among the things you can't select.
Oh,
yeah.
Sadly.
Because Bungie's always been a big PC supporter.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. That's one of the things.
I just brought it down in the room here.
Maybe.
I don't care anymore.
Exactly, because that's where we were at. Last week we were at that point where it's like, PC, console, I don't care at the moment. You need to show me something to get me to one of those things, and you haven't done that yet. With this big unveiling of whatever happened the week before last. So not quite there, but it comes in July. Maybe, obviously, this will happen after E3, which I'm sure we'll see a lot more about.
I would hope so.
Oh yeah. Well, again,
E3 is it's like a point of obfuscation in the calendar.
Yeah.
You have some weird idea, like what's happening on the other side of it. You can make some guesses about, there's like a Batman shaped thing out there, and I think it's October. There's like a Destiny thing happening in like the September spot, but it's all very diffuse and it's very unclear, because E3 is just this huge veil that cuts us off from what's happening the rest of the year. Nobody wants to talk about it. So it's worth getting through just so that the conversation can resume. It itself is very fun, I have always loved it. I probably always will, even though it infuriates me. It still excites me. And then once it's done, it's like, okay, now we can be talking about what's really going to happen. Now everybody can actually come out and say, okay, this is when my thing's coming out, because I don't have an event I have to stop and wait.
I mean, you remember last year we looked at before E3, we looked at the GameFly release list of 360 titles and stuff like that, and it was just barren. And if you look now, you'll find a list of games that we know about, but all the release dates on there is like TBA, 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 you know, or they've just made a placeholder date, December 31st of this year, December 31st of this year for when they're going to release. So that's what you'll kind of see after E3. You'll see all these blanks get filled in with like, yeah, we're hitting this time, this time, this time. We were also announcing this. We got the Sunset Overdrive thing, trailer and gameplay footage of that.
We did.
Which,
yeah.
I just watched that thing.
Which we can talk about that. We can talk about that after the break because we need to go to commercial now. But when we come back, we'll have the second hour of in-game chat, and you can be a part of it. Just give us a call, 334-272-9228. We'll see you after the break. Here is music from Riven. And welcome back to In-Game Chat. Music from Assassin's Creed 2. Really am grateful for music tracks that are that long. Appreciate it. Welcome back to the show. This is the second hour of In-Game Chat. If you would like to be a part of the show, you can give us a call and do exactly that. 334-272-9228. Being a part of the show right now with us is Rustin from Retro Game Planet. Rustin, you're on the air with us. How's the grand opening going?
It's going awesome, dude. Better than expected. Definitely a lot of people out there showing support. So for anybody that has been sent home from the tournament, I apologize. If I beat you, I super duper apologize. But it's
You can't
part
be
of
in
it.
the tournament.
Well, here's the deal. I wasn't because I figured that would be kind of like I don't know. I could just see it coming off the wrong way because
You're gonna win your own 3DS.
Yeah, and I'll tell Sean to give me the price gun real quick, and I'll be like, "Hey, here it is, folks." No, definitely not gonna do that. If I do win, then I'll randomly anybody in the shop after it that was in the tournament will just randomly win. So I'll do it like that. I'll still be cool about it, but the numbers had to work, and unfortunately, some people that signed up for it, they were not there when their names got called. So yeah, so that's how it worked. But everybody's having a good time, man. We had some pizza out here, drinks, good deals, 10% off everything at the shop today. This isn't a one-time thing. We're hopefully going to hit up the tournament every other week, and we're just going to have fun games, fun times, and that's what it's about, right?
Yeah, well, RJ on the show will take any fighting game tournament that you do, with the exception, I believe, of what Smash Brothers you don't get into, right?
No, Smash Brothers causes fights.
Yeah,
Okay,
Smash
well-
Brothers.
Wait a minute.
Wait.
I see a smile on your face.
I've seen how some hostile behavior as a result of Smash Brothers tournaments.
Well, I want to see some things as a result of Smash Brothers tournaments. So.
You want
This
some
sounds like the
chaos
best
or
Twitch
something,
stream ever.
Yeah.
Probably would
We need
be,
to make this
actually.
happen.
It's a given. Smash Brothers is a given. It has to happen. The only thing you have to do is make sure you pick one that less people are going to complain about, because there's three, and it's kind of down between like GameCube and Wii. That seems to be the the tournament type style. And I was talking to another guy because I actually never got into Smash Brothers, so that's definitely one that nobody would have to worry about me getting into, because we were hooking some stuff up last night, getting ready for the grand opening, and just playing around on it. And I mean, I played like 2 rounds, and I was it. I was sore loser status. I didn't complain about it, but I just walked off. There's so much catching up to do, so much stuff I don't understand. But apparently, in the whole tournament, Smash Brothers, Pikachu is, I guess he's so easy to spam with, and they didn't nerf him enough, from what a couple other guys were telling me. So tournaments ban him. I don't know if there's something to that. RJ, you're the fighting guru. No, you can't answer that, but I know you can come up here when we have that Injustice tournament and meet my buddy BJ, because he made me hate the game. And I'm not super duper good, but I'm just done with it now after I played him, because there's no way I'm getting that good.
I mean, I've played the game before, Injustice. I haven't played it in a very long while, but yeah, from what I've seen, what people are capable of doing, especially with Batgirl and Catwoman.
Oh, yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, well,
it does
Scorpion-
to some folks.
Yeah, I feel good about Scorpion until somebody, that I guess has some sense playing it. They're like, oh, forget your teleport. Here's an uppercut, and it does. I'm not gonna lie, it does kind of put a damper on things when we have a lot of people at the shop. If there's like one person browsing around, it's not too bad. But yeah, you definitely don't want to take a loss like I did when the shop's full and it's like, oh.
Oh, you don't want that embarrassment factor? Yeah. Well.
Oh yeah, it's just.
That's why I stay out of tournaments altogether.
Yeah.
For that
Well,
for that
fun,
reason
man.
alone.
They're fun. They're all the way around. But yeah, definitely having a good time. And for anybody that wants to get in on that, it's not the way that I would like to keep it is like give out some cool prizes and stuff like that, and keep it where it's not about coming up here and here's the buy-in or whatever. I mean, this was just a free thing, just kind of putting it on, like get people together, having fun, and it's there's a lot of games to pull from, and obviously going to throw the retro games into the mix because I feel like they get forgotten about way too much with some of the newer tournaments these days, but definitely not forgetting about the newer ones either. Like for instance, the last one we did was Injustice, and that was a pretty cool turnout as well. But yeah, excited how we definitely like to set it up every other week. Have a tournament, and seems like I'm pretty sure most people that are here today are probably going to come back. So I don't know if we're ultimately we might have an issue where we'll need a bigger spot because there were a lot of people in here. Still are actually waiting on me, but you guys were more important than going on to the next round. So
Well,
Yeah,
appreciate it, man. We'll let you get back to it, but I'm glad it was I'm glad you had a great grand opening, and look forward to giving people a heads up on other tournaments or other sales, or when you get some product in, like you get a certain game still in the box or something that's a huge, high demand type item as far as the retro stuff's concerned, man. We totally would let people know about it and that it's out
definitely.
there. So.
And I will say this, like, super duper glad that you came by the other day, because here's the deal, like, there's a lot of people that you talk with, this, that, and the other, but it is really cool when you come across people that are passionate, such as yourselves, and that's the cool part about it to me, because networking is a big thing, and that's important, but it makes it a whole lot easier, and there's no work involved when you can just be yourself, talk games. So definitely glad we hit it up with you guys, and look for great things to come in the future. So y'all take it easy and keep doing what you do.
All right, man. Go have
Thanks.
fun, and
Much
we'll talk
obliged.
to you later.
Awesome.
Bye-bye. And that is Retro Game Planet. They are in Prattville at 1730 Cobbs Ford Road. You can call them, 491-4263. They're supposed to be open until 7 tonight, but obviously with the tournament thing, it's going a little bit longer. They'll probably stay open until, everybody leaves or whatever, just because of the fun that they're having out there. So kind of wish we could join them. But anyway, what were we were talking about something right after the break. And I can't remember what it was.
Simulators?
That's right. We got a phone call.
Right.
We had a phone call. Didn't get the guy's name, but he talked to Nathan for a little bit. He really didn't have a question related to any kind of certain topic. He had found he found floppy disks of what game was it?
688i.
688i.
Yeah, it was an old EA sub simulator.
Okay, and he was trying.
It was old
apparently, he was trying to figure out how he could.
because he had them on floppies.
Yeah, how he could play this game again, and without even putting him on the air, Nathan did exactly his thing, which is hit the internet and find out how this would work, and found you could play it for free online.
You can download it for free.
Download it for
It
free
is not.
online.
I don't think
Not a
online.
multiplayer title.
no.
Yeah, it originally came out 1989
Man.
Wow.
on the DOS.
That's only like
MS
10
DOS
years
game.
ago, right?
Yeah, you're right. It was
And
just a little while ago.
Then it came on Sega Mega Drive in 1991. But yeah, he said he had a floppy drive, connected by USB.
I just don't know if Windows would know what to do with it.
Yeah, that's what I figured. So luckily I found the download. So
That was a great time too. But
well, it's funny. I used to play that game when I was like really little, like 7 or 8. I don't even know how I had it. I don't know if I had it on Sega Genesis or something. But I used to play it, and I was like, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm in a sub,
Motel says it's as old as me.
oh wow. That was a point in time when if it could be simulated, if you could figure out a way to simulate thing, fill in the blank, then they absolutely would. Sub simulators, flight simulators, combat simulators of any particular kind.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of stuff was really, really fun. I really, really enjoyed it. And the modability of simulators made them even better. It's really, I don't know. There's a huge distance now between that kind of realism or the pursuit of that kind of authentic war simulation experience, if that makes any sense at all, and the cartoonish, completely fictional war experience, which is apparently much better. It's much more palatable for lots of different people.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember a very particular pleasure that I had in a lot of those games was that at any point in time, whatever was happening in the world, whatever sorts of events, whatever conflicts were actually topping headlines at any point in time, they would make mods and modules and things to plug into your various simulators. So if there was, I'm telling you, if simulation was a much bigger deal now, like it was previously, there would be mods based on potential bad outcomes of the Ukrainian conflict, because that's just what people did. They made really, really topical mods for a lot of those simulators and allowed you to have a certain type of wargaming and simulation and it's just gone. It's a whole flavor that doesn't exist anymore. I sort of miss it. I miss really digging into
Well, one of the things that I saw that I don't know why I would have made the connection that like, oh, if James is playing, I guess it can't be that bad, and it caused me to pick it up during a Steam sale. Was Euro Truck Simulator?
Yeah,
because I'd seen you pick that up, and I was like, why would he buy that?
Because it's
Well,
fun.
then I guess let me check it out, because I mean, he doesn't buy much, and so if he's bought something, it's
Right.
like, what has he bought? Why is this? And so I bought it as well. Did I download it and play it? No, but I bought it.
Right.
But yeah, so you see that. I mean, Matt was in here talking about Goat Simulator, which I know is
That's
just
a joke.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
a joke.
It's a joke, but it's a joke on like everything that's being simulated now. Well, Surgeon Simulator is also a joke, but Farm Simulator. God, what was it? There's like a garbage truck simulator, but this is all European. It's all
I don't
European
doubt it.
stuff.
Right.
Street sweeper simulator. I don't know what it was, but a bus simulator.
There's
Euro
a lot.
truck.
There's a lot to be said for displaying in detail the exacting nature and the tedium of something like, flying. A lot of the flight simulators and a lot of what really made them great wasn't zooming around 10 feet off of the landscape, pulling all sorts of weird tricks or doing anything like that. It was absolutely getting everything right on your checklist, making all the right decisions, taking off, flying your plane by the numbers,
Yeah.
navigating correctly for 8 or 9 hours, and then, making it to the place on Earth that you were aiming at, and doing it correctly with the right amount of fuel, staying inside of the tolerances of the aircraft. That's very cool. Obviously, I think that's much cooler than Street Sweeper Simulator, but I gotta believe the guy sitting in the cabin of the Street Sweeper has a lot of the same things he has to follow. There's a lot of rules, there's a lot of exactitude, there's a lot of for any of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And yes, it's much less intensive, but in its own way, it's really fun. And thank goodness for the European Union and all of our European brethren for keeping alive many, many of the styles of gameplay that have disappeared entirely.
He actually just called back and was saying that his dad, right before he died, he used to fly P-31s. So forgetting the name of the Spitfires. Can't think of the name anyway. But anyways, he flew those in the war, and he said that he showed his dad one of the simulators right before he passed, and he was amazed by it because he got to basically relive when he used to fly those.
Yeah.
And so he said that was really cool, being able to. So he just said, it would be cool for more people to do that for, people up in age that can't fly anymore, still be able to do that type of stuff with simulators. So I thought that was a pretty good idea.
Flying a P-51 or a Spitfire or, even a Piper Cub, that's as unlikely in my lifetime as being involved in a war or having superpowers or anything else. It is as unlikely to appear in my future, and it is as hard for me to do as pretty much any of those other things. So to me, it is as much fantasy as any of those other things, or much an ability to reach out to an experience I can't have in any other way.
That's exactly why, as far as the flying was concerned, that's exactly why I did it, because I just love to fly, and I just don't get to do it as much, and I have to do it commercially, which is not the same. It still gets me up in the air, and I enjoy that, but it is not the same as when I used to do ride along every once in a while with some pilot at the field air, the field port, whatever it was.
The field port?
The field port.
Right.
Watch those vehicles that fly through the fields.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I was driving home through the interstate yesterday, and there was a the dust cropper.
Oh yeah.
Or the crop duster. Jeez.
Wow.
It's okay.
I'm having a horrible time. The dust crop duster, but it was like just that low flying. I was like, that's got to be the fun thing to do, is just to be able to come at that low altitude, dip down, come right back up. A lot of fun for that. So the other thing we were talking about before we went to break was Sunset Overdrive.
They released they did a trailer of sorts.
Basically gameplay footage, kind of.
Yeah,
demonstrating
basic. I don't.
Well-
I don't know.
This is
I don't know,
Insomniac
dude.
Games. It's their first
There
game.
there was no heads-up display. There was no. I'm not even convinced that. I have no idea what the game is really going to look like. They showed the bloke like scooting around all over the place and doing all sorts of stuff and shooting like goofy things, and there was like maybe a little too much goofy in the game for me. But that's fine. It's an Insomniac game. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that's how it goes. But no. It's still not
it's still
not
making
gameplay
right now. That's
That's fine. I don't care. I just won't call it a gameplay trailer
Okay, fair enough.
yet. I won't. You show me what it's actually going to look like when I play it, with the crosshairs and the HUD in place and whatever kind of cutaways or loading or any of that stuff I'm going to see. You show me that. That's gameplay. Stuff that's happening in the game engine and is being carefully directed, played, and then edited to look a certain way is merely something else. It's not gameplay. It's just game or something. I don't know. It ain't gameplay until
It's a
shown.
presentation.
Yeah, it is a presentation, and until it looks the way it's going to look for me, it ain't gameplay. Having said that, I guess it looked okay. I mean, again, it looked like the kind of thing that could be fun for 5 minutes or 5 days or something like that. I didn't see anything in there that I feel like was going to last me a terribly long time.
Yeah, that's it. Just going by what we saw, it looks like something that I would probably like pick up every once in a while and be like, let me put this in my drive.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, this isn't the game that's going to sell me an Xbox One, which is all it's for.
It's not even going to, based on that, it's not even going to sell me the game.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to bag on it. It's just like, hey, look, running on walls is a thing now. We can do that. You can also like skate on stuff like wires and stuff, and then you have goofy weapons and like you respawn in a funny way. It's like,
So it's like
okay.
Prince of Persia with some infamous wire grinding with
Maybe, yeah.
destroy all humans.
Right.
Yeah, that totally cracked me up when he was like, "This is respawning next gen," and it
Right, I
was
was
like
like,
flying
no.
in a helicopter or whatever. I was like, "What?"
Just stop, man. Just stop being that way about it. Just
This
show
is
me the
next gen.
game. But whatever. It looks like it's got a great sense of humor, and if that translates into the overall game design, then I'm perfectly happy. But
Yeah, that's exactly
just-
where I'm at. On
that's
it.
just,
It's
that's just not what I saw. So I'll wait a minute, and I'm like, this isn't. I know this isn't. This is just the beginning of you trying to sell this to me.
yeah.
We'll see. It'll be somewhere at E3, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It'll be perfectly fine.
And maybe, and I don't know if it was talked about or not. I did not look this up, and maybe Nathan can figure it out. But I think it has co-op, but I'm not sure. But 4-player co-op in that game would be interesting. The more I know about it, the more interesting or less interesting that would become.
It says it'll feature online co-op.
It will feature online co-op.
Yes.
Yeah. No idea on the players if it's just 2 players or 4 players or something like that. But it might be.
Yeah, it says story, or this was from their Twitter. It says story/campaign is single player only. Online is co-op.
I don't know. I don't know what
yeah.
their story is. It doesn't even look like the kind of game that has a story. I mean, it really doesn't. It looks like the kind of game where a bunch of stuff is happening, and you have like a paragraph that describes sort of why the stuff is happening, puts everything in context, and then you just go play. But again, what do I know? I don't know. I know that I'm not terribly interested, so I don't have anything good to say about it. But we'll see.
Yeah.
It's just another game at this point to me.
Yeah. But this is Insomniac. This is their first game for Microsoft since I don't think they broke away from Sony, but they were able to develop something. They were able to develop a game that wasn't going to be released on a Sony platform, on a PlayStation.
I don't know the exact.
Because they had up until this point they'd been PlayStation exclusive for all of their stuff, and then they finally were able to make something for Microsoft. This is an Xbox One exclusive.
It actually all it reminded me of was like a Dead Rising. Kinda.
It did feel
Yeah,
a little bit
it,
Dead
it,
Rising.
it did feel a lot like a much
cartoon.
sillier Dead Rising. Yeah, Saturday morning Dead Rising. That's what it is.
Right.
Well, when we come back, we will have the last segment of the show. If you'd like to get in on that, please give us a call, 334-272-9228. That is 334-272-9228. We'll be back in just a moment. Here is music from Mirror's Edge. And welcome back to In-Game Chat. Final segment of the show tonight. If you want to get in, you've got 30 minutes to do it. Call us, talk to us, 334-272-9228. This is music from Mass Effect, which, while it was playing, you probably, if you were watching Twitch, a lot of people want to know what we talk about whenever the mics get turned off, and we're in here making hand gestures. But the opening of that track sounds a whole lot like the main music from, not the main menu music, but the main title music from Wolf Among Us.
Yeah, that synth as
real
Big
similar.
B is walking through the city and everything.
And they're doing the opening credits, basically. Okay. Really, really similar until it gets into this stuff. But yeah, so anyway, welcome back to the show. And my head is just gone now from what we were just talking about and what we were going to be talking about.
We actually wanted to pick up with a piece of news that we had to cut off last week.
I don't know why.
Because I wouldn't shut up about EVE Online. But one of the very, very interesting things, at this point I believe counts as a piece of retro
yeah, more or less.
Gaming, since we're very much on the theme tonight. But we have learned that a trademark's
been filed for No One Lives Forever.
No One Lives Forever, the operative.
Actually, I believe it's both the...
Well, no, the operative is the operative was the name of the game series, and No One Lives Forever was actually the subtitle for the game. Yeah. The operative was actually the name of the game, and the operative referred to, obviously, the main character. But there was No One Lives Forever with, let's see, that had an expansion pack, and then No One Lives Forever 2 also
and the
had
expansion packs were Contract Jack
and
Spy in Harm's Way.
Right. And I am astonished sometimes how many people in my immediate group never played those games.
I had a disc copy, I think, of 2.
Right.
But I never put it in. I never installed it. I always heard good things about it, and I don't know where it is now. But thankfully, it sounds like Night Dive Studios, who were behind getting System Shock 2 out there.
Right. They not only just getting System Shock 2 out there, but through whatever kind of magic, actually finding and acquiring the rights to a game that we believed had the rights to which had been broken up and divided
and
distributed in half a dozen different ways in such a way that we really didn't think they could be reacquired and reassembled for the game to be re-released. They did it with System Shock, and No One Lives Forever as a series is very much the same type of thing.
Yeah, it had an issue where the publisher was bought by Activision Blizzard. It was acquired, but sometime last year somebody was reviewing things and they said, I don't think we have the rights to No One Lives Forever. And just like an interview with somebody talking about this, and then so they went to Monolith, who developed the game.
Right.
They're like, yeah, we don't have them. Nobody knew where they were, but apparently Night Dive has sacrificed whatever ritualistic animal they needed to find them.
Yeah, and they have reached through the ether, grabbed the rights, or at least the trademark.
They filed trademarks for both titles and their expansions.
Right. So this is leading to an assumption, probably a safe one, but an assumption that these will probably see a modern re-release on GOG.com, most likely. And I will when they come out, you should buy them and play them. I just would like to say that. They were fantastic in 100 different ways. The first one in particular is a little bit primitive. The stealth systems, such as they are kind of incomplete because there were really not that many complete stealth systems back then for first-person shooters. But it is, in just about every way, it is, relatively standard shooter fare. It's 1960s, female protagonist. She is a James Bond type spy in, a secret organization fighting against, terrorist organizations. Yeah. It's a very James Bond type of scenario with some degree of Austin Powers type of humor, but it's much drier, much cleaner, much wittier, an awful lot of incidental dialogue that helps build a really, really colorful and interesting world. Kate Archer, who is the protagonist, was, in a lot of ways, an excellent starting point for how to build a female protagonist in a video game. She was, obviously, by virtue of what her character was, a woman in a man's world, set at a time when those things hadn't begun, they hadn't gotten full speed in that revolution, but they don't shy away from actually having a clever conversation about it. And she is built as a perfectly likable, perfectly capable, really authentic type of person, which, wouldn't you know it, is about the best way to make a female character. The same way you make a good male character, you make them a person. But she was. And it was a really, really excellent couple of games. Really fun level design at a time when level design was what really sold a game.
They do any spiritual successors to that at all?
Not that I'm aware.
I don't know
No.
why.
I mean, they did a literal successor, and each one had a proper expansion pack. Which
but
is,
it was like No One
so there
Lives
were 4
Forever 2
titles.
and that sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah, because I don't know why there was a game for was it the 360 or was it I think it was the 360. It was a launch game. But
Any details? You think
no,
of?
Perfect Dark Zero is what I was thinking of.
Oh no,
that's yeah, there's similarities, I guess
Yeah.
you could say,
Yeah.
between Joanna Dark and Kate Archer, but it's not the same type of game. It's not really after the same type of you're not going to feel the same types of things in it. No One Lives Forever was merely a good time, and in its own way, sort of a high point or a really great ambassador for games of that era. And we're talking about, like 2000, I think. 2000, 2001, I believe, if my
yeah, somewhere
memory
around there.
serves
'Cause I remember
correctly.
it was back when we were at the shop.
Right. Really great games. Assuming those actually come out and they get a nice, solid, clean re-release, they come highly recommended. They have, I don't know, a lot of people will tell you they have not aged well. You can go onto YouTube and find video to see for yourself, but I find them personally to be still very lovable in their way. And I don't think that they're terribly hard on the eyes. And I think that people are generally becoming more accustomed to looking back with fondness at things that maybe are a little rougher on the edges. But great games. And we would all be well served by having them kind of moved into a modern portfolio. It's really, really, really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I really do want to get into that. Along those lines, another...
What year was that?
Like 2000,
2000?
2001.
Okay.
Along those lines, another way, I happened upon this today. Another game that's getting a complete re-release is one I played back on Nintendo, but dates even further back to the Apple Macintosh, Shadowgate.
And we're talking about, and with Shadowgate, we're talking about a remake.
Yeah, we're talking about a complete remake, 3D graphics, of course, and but still keeping to that same. Here's your view. Here's the text scroll of everything you need. Here's how you died 50 million ways over in loving detail, which back on the NES was like, you can describe this? You can describe me like looking at myself getting dissolved by this green slime that came out of a casket?
Right.
Oh, I smashed this mirror and opens up in outer space, and you're talking about how the air is sucked from my lungs, and I'm like frozen stiff as I go out this portal.
Right. Well, it was an absolute necessity to be that good at describing all of the actions and all of the consequences for your actions, because it's all kind of derived from the text-based,
Yeah, from like old Infocom titles.
Right.
And the like.
I was about to say you couldn't exactly describe it visually.
Yeah, well, I mean, it did have the visual component, of course. It's just mostly not animated. It was mostly still pictures. It would like insert in a thing if like a monster came in from off screen or what have you. But it was 3 series of games, and this is the first one. It's supposed to have a lot of the old Mac Venture crew attached to this company.
That's really interesting. That's reaching really far back.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited about it. They put out a video just kind of showing bits of the gameplay and such.
What's the time frame?
It's supposed to be summer of this year.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. PC, Mac.
Because it's almost that. I mean, basically. For us to have just heard about it, if they're saying like,
Well, I remember for some people, they would announce a season, and you wouldn't get that game until like the very
last day
of that
no,
season.
I remember thinking, well, like fall doesn't end until such and such a day or something like that. Anytime somebody announces a month, you expect the 30th. Anytime somebody announces a season, you expect like like the end of March or something like that. You don't expect it. When they say winter, they mean the last possible day of winter.
Exactly.
If you're lucky.
Like March 20th. That's the last day they can they can send that thing out. And then when it passes, it's like, oh, we've moved it into
now they don't
whatever.
even nobody even cares anymore.
Then they
They're
won't
just like,
change it to season. They change it to quarter.
Yes.
Let's just be vague without even giving you a release of this. So, were you looking something up?
Yeah, basically, Windows, Mac, iOS, and Android release as well. $15 you can pre-order right now and get a Steam. You'll get a Steam key for it.
Oh.
I mean, and they have other packages as well for. Let's see, just like some wallpapers and such added on.
$15 for a game, though.
Yeah, $15 for a
That's
game.
a solid deal.
Go ahead.
I can
and
get behind
lock
that
it in
idea.
Right now. You'll have the option of either playing with the their remastered soundtrack or the original NES 8-bit
that's
soundtrack,
great.
which is really nice because their reimagined trailer, I believe it's called, has the original theme playing, and then it goes into the orchestrated theme, which has a lot of those same notes in it, just fully orchestrated as opposed to being an 8-bit processor.
What else? There was something else coming to Steam that was an older title.
Uh,
I'm looking through the Final Fantasy 3.
Final Fantasy 3,
Yeah,
which
yeah. Not
it
getting
is
it's not getting a revamp or anything.
no,
it's just,
it was the
It
thing.
already sort of has.
Yeah, because when we never got Final Fantasy 3 here, the original Nintendo version of Final Fantasy 3.
I'm glad you're here to explain this because
Yeah.
I would not be able to.
We never got the 3 that came out here was actually Final Fantasy 6 in Japan, and
Well,
yeah. Well,
we got
skipped-
3, but it was already 6 iterations in.
Yes, it was 6
Wow.
iterations in Japan. That's why when 7 came out, it was 7 here, and everybody's like, "Where's 4 through 6?" It was like, well,
In
it's not quite
Japan.
as simple. Because
Our
Our-
2 was their 4.
yes, our 2 was
Our
there
3
4.
was their 6.
and then
We never got 5.
we never got
Wow.
5. We never got well, we did get 5 on the PlayStation eventually.
I just mean in release order.
Yeah, as far as the original release, no, we never got 5 or 3 or 2. We never got those here.
It still actually stands as an example
Yeah.
of how difficult that can get when you have the business of releasing something in the East and localizing it to the West, and how they're unsure of certain markets and how it's all driven by one design philosophy, and that isn't necessarily translated correctly to a different to another one in another place.
But yeah, 3 it came out on the DS a few years ago. They did a complete overhaul of it using 3D models, kind of adding a bit more, giving the characters background, which was in the original was like just 4 kids find a crystal, but this time it's like no, they have particular backgrounds. You acquire them one at a time instead of having a party right off the bat.
Okay.
But it is supposed to be that version that they are putting onto Steam.
Is everything? Are they all? They are all now legitimately purchasable or able to be acquired in the
Yes.
West. Yes.
Yes,
Like that is actually there is a.
They did a lot of them. They did for the Game Boy Advance when that was
Okay.
out. At that point, we had all of them but 3, and then when they released the DS version, that was the last one we were missing over here.
Okay. It's zany, an entire history. It's a very iconically zany little piece of history.
I'm curious
Final
if,
Fantasy, and it's
I'm curious if Game Trailers ever did one of their retrospectives, which I used to always watch.
oh right,
Those
right.
long, like 6-part Zelda retrospective and the Metroid retrospective, Castlevania they did.
I don't know. They may have. They
I'm
may.
curious
It
if
would,
they
it
did
would be
one.
a good thing to watch to kind of
Yeah.
Yeah,
put
'cause
you in that mind of like what it was really like prior to Final Fantasy VII.
Because there were the original releases. 5 got on the one of the PlayStation sets, I believe, and
Okay.
it was just things like that. It was like, well, here's this one that you never saw before. Finally, even though people playing all with the emulators and such had translations by then. I want to say 5 might have actually had one of the translators from the emulation working on their staff at some point.
No idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
Beyond me.
But it's one of those things you hear on the internet. Who knows if that's the case? But I'm interested to see if we're going to see other releases on Steam like that. Because if they're going to put out 3, why not put out all their everything else has basically been ported to iOS and Android? It might mean
Everything in that line of the catalog,
Yeah.
I really don't see why they wouldn't, as long as there isn't an enormous amount of work to be done. Like we got 7 and 8
but then
on
those
Steam
had
as well, but
PC
those
releases.
had original PC releases. 9 and 10 obviously did not. 9, sadly, because it's of the same.
It is from
It's of the same vintage as 7 and 8. 97, 98, 99 for all 3 of those. I understand that 10 had moved on to the PS2. But even that
But they
has
did-
seen a re-release
Yeah.
because that had an HD remaster kind of re-release thing only very recently on PlayStation Network and on Vita.
It's almost like trying to explain time travel. in
It is,
different
but it doesn't
timelines.
make as much sense as time travel.
So, well, we've only got about, 15 minutes, a little less than that left. What have you guys been playing? Anything recently? RJ, I'll start with you.
I finally finished Dark Souls 2 after 77 hours of
Oh, really?
gameplay.
Wow.
So I've just started New Game Plus to start the process all over
How,
again.
how does that compare to
course
Dark
you
Souls
have.
1 for you in terms of time?
I think I did a lot more exploring in 2 than I did in 1. That's my initial thought right now, because because 77 hours for one playthrough just really stuck for me, because I don't think I did that much in Dark Souls 1. It was just trying to finish, trying to finish that one. So, yeah, it felt like I did a lot more exploring in 2 than I did in 1.
I know this is the case in Demon and Dark Souls. Was there multiple endings? Was there a choice between endings, or is it just one?
There was only one. I don't think I was given a choice, really.
Really?
I think it was just like one single thing. If there was a choice, I wasn't aware of it, because I just went to a place and the ending started. Maybe there was another place I could go to. Probably I didn't see it, but I made it obvious. There was an obvious place to go, and I went there, and they got me that ending. So if there was a second one, I'm not sure about it right now.
Okay.
Anything else? I mean, I don't know that you would be
I've
playing
been really
anything.
focusing on.
I would think
focusing
so.
really on Dark Souls. to try to
Seems
get
like
that
that's where you put all your concentration when you're playing a game like that. Is that don't have time to like lose the muscle memory or anything like that and play something else.
Yeah.
Stick with it. But man, we were looking at, again, going back to Retro Game Planet, we were looking at stuff and found was it Lost Odyssey, I think, or something like that? It was a game that you hadn't played in a while. It was an RPG. It was a Japanese RPG for the Xbox 360.
Yeah, probably.
Probably
I
Lost
want to
Lost
say it was
Odyssey.
Lost Odyssey, and you're like, oh, I need to get back into that. And he's like, I probably have to start over.
I can. I would
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
have to start
Yes,
over.
you
I've
would.
known that for a long time.
Yeah.
All I remember about that game is like my dude had earrings. I seriously cannot remember anything else but how cool it was when I went into his item menu and equipped glasses and earrings.
And
That he was
actually
wearing like
them.
glasses and earrings in the cutscenes. I was like, wow, that's neat. And that is what I remember.
Oh, you've got a fun ride ahead of you. 'Cause I remember that game.
But it was,
So
I
good.
mean, it was, I did enjoy it, but I cannot approach an RPG, action, turn-based, JRPG, Western RPG. I can't do anything of that sort. Anything with even a significant story or really particular or consequential significant game mechanics. I can't. You either have to finish it or you have to start all over. Because I'm always missing something. I even went away from Dark Souls 1 long enough. Not that you can't get your reflexes back, but my sense of the world and my sense of my progression through the world was just, it was a little broken. And, a lot broken to the point where I wasn't comfortable with it. And I was like, forget about it. I'm just going to have to start over when I do this.
You stopped at Blighttown, wasn't it?
I stopped in Blighttown. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dennis?
That's a pretty involved place. then.
Anything for you?
Mostly Binding of Isaac. I've finally reached the final area you can unlock in that.
Yeah.
So I'm like getting the last few things I need to have like my 100% profile on it. Because the re-release, well, not re-release, it's basically a remake of it. It's going to be coming out sometime this year with supposed to be a whole new slew of things coming out for PC and PS4 as well. And so I'm trying to finish up the original one before that comes out.
You're a bit like me in going back to the old games, because lately all I've done every time I get home from work. Now, I had been waiting for a copy of Spider-Man 2 to show up from GameFly, and got lost in the mail. Luckily today, the one that they had to resend, I don't know where that other one is, but the one that they resent actually showed up today. So I've got it to play for the PS4. I know it's crap, but it's a superhero game. I'm going to play it. I may not finish it, but I'm going to get some swinging in and then, be done with it.
Yeah, I think Jamie Fristrom, I saw him say, yeah, I was kind of worried about that with Energy Hook until, then I saw the reviews and I was like, okay, I'm good.
I don't think he's got anything to worry about. Plus, Energy Hook is not ready for release just yet anyway. But yeah, so there is that. But anyway, in the meantime, I've been coming home and I fired up my pinball games again, and I went back to games that I had already featured on Silver Ball Sundays. What I try to do with Silver Ball Sundays is beat whatever the high score is. Mm-hmm. And then when I do that, then that's it. I've already played it for that episode, and I really don't go back to it because I've got other stuff to play. However, in that time, so many of these other games, these other tables that I played, have gotten people beating my high score. So it's like, let me go back to some of these old ones. I don't stream them because it's a lot of frustration. It's a lot of restarting. It's a lot of starting over, that sort of thing. But I go back in there, and I've been taking back some of my high scores on Pinball Effects.
I mean, it's you know what you're getting out of it. You know, you start a pinball, you know exactly what you're getting out of it. It's like, I should be going forward in Dark Souls 2, but I don't want to die against giant dudes at Hyde's Tower of Flame for like 2 hours and be like,
You know, it's a grind coming up now.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
gotta build up some souls so I can take them out.
Otherwise, my advice is like, if I get a good head of steam going, get the right power-ups, it's like, maybe a little under an hour to get all the way through every single area in the game. Mm-hmm. And I know what I'm getting into. Or I'll just die and be like, oh, that's my run for tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that is fun about Silver Ball Sundays is I always play a table that, for one, I've never played before. Mm-hmm. I haven't done any kind of replays of any tables yet. So every table I play on Silver Ball Sundays is brand new to me, unless it was released on the 360 and I played it there. Yeah. Otherwise, completely new, never touched before, and you get to watch as I learn the table basically, and then try to also beat the high score at the same time. So a lot of fun.
Aside from that, tried demo of Child of Light, which I don't know what game the reviewers were playing, but I tried the demo on hard. Man, that was rough. I don't know if it's just it starts further along in the story, because it's like
I have no idea where it starts. As a matter of fact,
it starts with going into a well. You get like a mage dude as your ally.
No, I'm not even there yet.
You have no idea? Okay. Then I guess
fairly far along, which means you're already dealing with moderately complicated RPG mechanics in the battles.
And they hurt.
They do. And it's actually
I don't get where this game for babies meme started. It's like, no, this is actually a game.
It is actually a game, and it's incredibly fun, and there is quite a wide variety of different things you can use, different tactical things you can do. There's a lot of character development, RPG style mechanical development for the characters. There's a lot of exploration, which you wouldn't think would be possible in a simple 2D game, but there is. It's lovely. I've played quite a bit more of it, and I like it a lot.
Other one I played was a demo for I think it's not even, I don't know if it's greenlit or not, but it was a demo available on Steam for a game called Dreadout.
Dreadout?
Yes, Dreadout. It by an Indonesian team, and it's looks like it's meant to evoke a lot of the Fatal Frame games.
Okay.
Kind of going playing as a schoolgirl with an iPhone type camera out, and going through these areas with ghosts and such, and taking pictures of them to kind of get them away from you. You take it out and look around, and you can find there's this wall that isn't real right here because it's not showing up on the phone.
Oh,
things like that. It was very rough to play. The controls were very not good as far as using a mouse and keyboard. I couldn't get my 360 controller working, but it looks promising.
I want to ask you: was there any essential differences between Dreadout and Fatal Frame? Anything that's
a bit? Walking around, it's more of kind of like in Resident Evil 4, where you can see your character.
Okay.
It's not like the fixed angles like it is in Fatal Frame.
Mm-hmm.
But just kind of moving around, moving my mouse around to rotate the camera didn't cause her flashlight to follow it. It was still stuck at going back here when my camera's facing this way.
Okay.
Things like that.
Okay.
I picked up Watch Dogs for PC off of eBay.
Oh, you got an NVIDIA
I got the
pack
NVIDIA
and code deal?
Got the NVIDIA pack and code deal.
What was it, $35 for you?
$35.
We don't know. I know the Watch Dogs is still a big question mark, but I think if you know you're going to play it somewhere, you're a little more locked in on the PC. You're maybe hoping for a GameFly distro of one of the
I got
console
those in there
versions.
too, because
but if you just say, okay, I'll pay $35 for a PC code. That's even when it does go on sale 6 months, 8 months from now, that it's probably not going to be quite that low, or maybe no lower than that. That's you can really look at that and say this is not throwing away the full price on a guess, on a hope that the game will be worth the money. $35, I guess I can see that.
Yeah, pick that up, and the code was good. It's one of these weird things. I mean, I don't want to tell you that hey, this is how you get your cheap games is from eBay, because you can get scammed on those, or things can go wrong. I've been lucky enough to go through it twice now with Batman Arkham Origins for $25, which was great before it released, and now with Watch Dogs, it was okay. Had a little bit of confusion from the code thing. It was getting scary there for a little bit when I was trying to enter the code.
Are you sure this code didn't fall off the back of a truck?
No, it didn't. I mean, I'm okay with that. It's just one of those things of are they scamming me just to get? It just seems. First off, $35. You're scamming me for $35.
Yeah,
Seems like it'd be a little bit more worth their while to do that with. But yeah, so. But it worked, and I'll have the game when it releases on the 27th of this month. I've also got it in my GameFly queue for both the Xbox One and for the PS4 because I kind of want to get it on the console just to see what it looks like there. Also, if James doesn't happen to pick it up, but he gets a copy of it for the console, and then we can do some multiplayer there.
Yeah.
And so, there's some advantages as to why I'm going to get it on that system. I don't know what's coming out next week, or if there is anything that is of note for next week's release, but I don't have anything on my radar as far as something I'm looking forward to. James, we didn't get to you, but you had just mentioned that you played more of Child of Light.
Played Child of Light. Started playing the WildStar open beta.
That's right.
Went open beta on Thursday, and it's it is a full open beta, not... I believe there's a level cap, but I don't believe it's class or race limited.
Is this the one with the hoverboards?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It is, I believe, level capped for any particular character, but it's not a weekend beta, it's not time of day beta, it's pretty much full as long as the servers are up from last Thursday through to the 18th, which is fairly significant. So... clearly, I had to. I am obligated by my past experience to take a look at it.
Well, that is going to do it for us, folks. Thanks, everybody, for joining us in the chat room, as well as everybody listening on the stream or on the radio as well. We want to thank everybody who grabs us each week from iTunes or however you get our show for later use. We really appreciate it. Head on over to ingamechat.net, and you can join us on Twitter as well as on Facebook, our forums at colonyofgamers.com. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you're on Steam, we've got a Steam group you can join up with over there and play games with us and other listeners as well. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Have a great week. We will see you next Saturday.